When we last saw Simon Jarrett, he was strapped into the harness of the abyssal climber, making his way down towards the dark below. The ride was interrupted by the emergence of Johann Ross, who promised to go ahead of him and preparations. Simon is rendered unconscious after this encounter. When he comes to, he's still on the climber. Ross, on the other hand, is nowhere to be seen. After reaching the ocean floor, Simon finds an underworld of darkness enveloping the landing around the ACR. This landing is what Catherine calls the Omega Sector, an acre-long stretch of the abyssal plain. At a depth of 4,109 meters, sunlight from the surface can no longer be seen. The abyss swallows it whole. To make matters worse, the pressure is so intense that it permanently blurs Simon's vision. Though at roughly 400 bars greater than that of Earth's atmosphere, if that's the worst Simon has to deal with, he should consider himself lucky. What few lights remain faintly illuminate the landing's outbuildings. They are all derelicts, silent and untouched, likely for months. The outbuildings are surrounded by uprooted cables, which have mutated to resemble large groping claws courtesy of the WoW. Glowing bulbs sprout out from them, mimicking the local fauna's evolutionary compensation for living in such a dark place. The abyss is an aquatic wilderness unlike anywhere on Earth. Many deep-sea creatures cannot see through conventional means. Some must instead use feelers in lieu of eyesight, or navigate by using smell to detect food. Others have developed over countless millennia the ability to produce light of their own. It's this organic light, this bioluminescence that the WoW is bastardizing for his own creations. We first saw something similar to this with the Jiangxi back at Curie. Curiously, if you think about it, there isn't any need for that type of ability up on the plateau, where light is plentiful at almost all times. It makes you wonder where the Jiangxi actually came from, and if it's possible that these proxies originated in the depths. Perhaps they were once members of Tower Phi. Let it be known, I'm not proposing this to be the case. This is mere suppositional chaff. There is no evidence to support this claim. I just think it would be a neat idea, and does an interesting job of making the fiction seem a little bit smaller. Let's just file this away under personal headcanon and move on. Here in the abyss, bioluminescence is a commonplace necessity. It's what allows many of these deep-sea creatures to survive in such extreme conditions. Here in the abyss, there are plenty of examples of natural bioluminescence to be found. The jellyfish colony encountered atop the abyssal climber, for instance. There are also more jellyfish found around the ACR landing zone. When traversing the torrential plain, Simon encounters schools of viperfish, which sport bioluminescent growths as well. They have also mutated to significantly larger proportions than normal. Simon also catches a glimpse of a massive serpent-like creature of unknown type, patrolling the blackened waves above him. This creature is colloquially referred to as the Leviathan. In what should be no surprise to anyone, the structure gel has mutated all local aquatic life. Of course, this should be of no surprise to us. We've been seeing this since Upsilon, but it was a surprise to the staff of Pathos-II, who have devoted a lot of time and effort to understanding this change. Back at Omicron, for instance, Simon enters the laboratory where he finds the preserved remains of many different types of mutated fish. These were likely here for research purposes. Down in the abyss, Simon finds a lone outbuilding in the middle of the torrential plain. Inside is a terminal, revealing that Tau monitored the population sizes of certain creatures found throughout the Atlantic, specifically the humpback whale, the squid, and the anglerfish, though the computer terminal was unable to load the anglerfish's data. Their research shows that many species enjoyed a stable existence until the impact of Telos, when their population numbers dropped so low that Tau believed that these creatures had actually gone extinct. However, sometime after the beginning of 2104, they re-emerged, not only matching the numbers of their population prior to Telos' impact, but actually exceeding them. The terminal also contains observational logs, which serve as foreshadowing for a later encounter. The logs were written by Steve Glasser from Tau, who was studying the transformed physiology of the local fauna. He used lures to attract what he could. Glasser's research shows that he encountered 3 mutated behemoths, a frilled shark, a giant squid, and, no surprise, an anglerfish. All 3 displayed increased hostility. All shared an aversion to light. Well, all save for the anglerfish, who not only was unfazed by light, but had a light of its own. A light used to beguile both fish and man alike. And unlike the other 2 behemoths, the anglerfish seemed to be hunting something. Something, as Glasser puts it, not present in this ecosystem. Glasser wouldn't last long enough to learn what that something was. Not far from the ACR platform, Simon finds his dismembered remains.
Jesus, did you see that? Stick to the lamplights, they won't go near them.
I can't fail, Glasser. It's important I reach Omicron. Our future depends on it.
Calm down. Let's just follow the path.
If I die, I need you to tell Julia Dahl that the WoW is out of control. She needs to get to Sarang. He'll know what to do.
Ross, you can tell him yourself. We just need to pick up the pace, okay?
Glass! We lost the path! We need to go back!
I know where to go. Come on.
It's over there! The light is over there!
Final push, Ross. Almost there. We just...
Glasser's black box reveals that he was accompanied by Johann Ross, who, unlike the version we met in Omicron, seemed very human and very concerned with reaching the climber. He tells Glasser that should he die, Glasser is to find Julia Dahl and warn her about the WoW. She would then have to contact Mark Sarang, who would know what to do next. This plan was doomed to failure for many reasons. First, and most obviously, is because of the mutated fauna. Some creature, likely the Leviathan, attacked and killed Glasser. Ross was, in turn, wounded so badly that by the time he reached the climber, he passed away before it even reached the top. He survived only by the grace of the WoW, though the fact that he made it to the plateau at all was so fortuitous it could be called a miracle. Another reason the plan was likely to fail was because, unbeknownst to Ross, Mark Sarang had already committed suicide on July 12, 2103. We already know what happened next. The quarantine and overloaded Omicron. So, instead of moving forward, let's move backward a bit. 2 days prior to Glasser's death. As stated earlier, Ross reaching the climber wasn't just luck. It was providence. Providence provided by the arrival of the ARC team. When we last saw them, it was Christmas Day of 2103. Interestingly, there seems to be a timeline discrepancy regarding the date of the ARC team's arrival. The terminal found near the ACR landing indicates that they arrived on the 26th of December, whereas the dispatcher log at Omicron dates it as the 25th. While I would normally chalk this up to prolonged travel time, it's definitely not the case here, since the ARC team logs their arrival at 2:01 p.m. For this time frame to make any sense, it would require the ARC team to have made their transmission to Omicron on December 25th, 11:59 p.m. at the latest, and then spend the next 14 hours and 2 minutes riding the climber down into the abyss. As slow as the climber may be, it's not that slow. This is just an oversight of the riders. Either way, their arrival heralded the return of the climber 2 days later, as confirmed in the journal entry of Johann Ross. When the ARC team arrived, they found the Omega sector completely abandoned and Tau unresponsive to all attempts at communication.
Tau? Come in, Tau. Please answer, Tau. Nothing. It's dead.
Let's move out. We'll try the next one.
The ARC team pushed onward, braving the torrential plain and the mutated fauna residing within. Eventually, they reached another outbuilding, where they finally managed to contact Tau.
Tau, can you hear this? Anyone there?
This is Tau. Who is this?
This is Ian Peterson of Theta calling. I got a team with me, and we're about half a kilometer from Tau.
What? How did... You came in the climber?
Listen, we're having a really hard time with this sector. Heavy turbulence is making it difficult to move forward, and the wildlife you got is absolutely rabid.
The storm comes and goes. The instruments show the weather is relatively fair right now. You should move out as soon as possible. Stick to the lights. The critters should leave you alone.
All right, you heard the man. We're moving out, people. Tau, keep the doors unlocked. We're coming in.
Tao, surprised at their arrival, advised them to keep close to the lights for safety. When the ARC team finally made it to the station, they found the place in shambles.
Welcome to Tao. What's left of it.
You guys alright? What happened here?
We ran out of real food long ago. People have been getting sick. Haven't heard from anyone in months.
No shit, they all think you're dead down here. Some failed evac story circulating at Omicron.
Oh, God.
Listen, son. We're on an important mission, and we need your help to operate the Omega space gun. When it's done, we can all head back up the plateau. But now we need to get moving.
Of course. Head on through to the habitat. We shut off the front section to preserve power.
All right. See you soon.
The voice of the male ARC team member we hear belongs to Jasper Hill. He reveals to Tao's unidentified dispatcher that Omicron abandoned any notion of rescuing Tau personnel, since they believed everyone from the station was already dead, killed in a failed evacuation attempt. This claim is corroborated by the data found on the ACR landing terminal, which has 2 logs dated September 13th, 2103. The first one stating Tau evacuation, and the second stating failed. Interestingly, the logs are signed by Alan Waldeck and Julia Dahl. Looking at the evidence, it's easy to misread this as Dahl being a heartless villain. However, this is far from the truth. In reality, there was an evacuation attempt. The post-impact notes found in Tao's dispatcher room match the log dates exactly. On September 13th, the evacuation of Tau was ordered. On September 15th, Tau was swarmed by monsters. They were also left without radio communications. This is explained in the earlier notes, which state that between January 12, 2103 and April 11, 2103, the damaged Lumars made radio contacts so inconsistent that SSE Heather Volchek, Julia Dahl, and Richard Holland had to establish a system of bi-weekly visits to maintain communication with Tau. This was to continue until the Lumar probes were fully repaired. That, of course, never happened. The evacuation attempt left Tau licking its wounds. Many of its staff were hurt. Johann Ross's journal entry makes mention of this, citing Vic Auclair as the only one who sustained serious injury, possibly mortal injury. The entry dated November 19th, 2103 gives an indication of how desperate things became throughout Tau. Food was so scarce that a staff member named Coetzee made a suicide run to Observation, the outbuilding located over a kilometer away from Tau proper. She miraculously returned unharmed, but with proverbial crumbs. Though the game doesn't say much about the general temperament of Tau, it seems there might have been feelings of resentment amongst its personnel, and rightfully so. Considering the dire straits Tau found itself in, is it really surprising that the arrival of the ARC team was met with a mixture of enervation and embitterment? As revealed by Jasper Hill's journal entry, they felt abandoned by those on the plateau, and though the team did manage to scan all members of Tau for the ARC project, many of the personnel considered the idea silly, as Ross's journal entry would imply. However, they also felt it endearing and agreed to take part in Catherine's promise of a digital afterlife. The ARC team wasted no time. They set out for Phi immediately, making their way to the access tunnels, which had grown unstable in the months since the impact event. It seems that they were to be escorted by a member of Tau staff. Unfortunately for this individual, he would not make it to Phi.
What the hell is wrong with this place?
It's nothing to worry about. Just the warden flexing his muscles.
The warden? You mean WoW?
Well, down here he has many names. Warden, the Alpha.
Like in Site Alpha? I thought that was made up.
Made up. Then someone should really fire Johann Ross. Tell him there's no reason to walk these tunnels no more.
This section is gonna collapse.
You should try spending some time in the abyss, sweetheart. You know when shit's for real.
Catherine, move up. Come with me. Oh, okay.
Hey, wait for me!
Careful with the Ark.
Take it easy, it's not going to... Oh, for a moment I thought it was going to collapse.
what I can tell, they were led by Tau member Seal Kowalski. I based this on the character's accent and the familiar tone he has when speaking about the Abyss and Johann Ross, as well as his confirmation of Alpha being synonymous with the WoW itself. Having pushed on ahead of their escort, the ARC team managed to make it through the cave-in unscathed. They eventually reached Phi, where their confidence in the plan began to buckle. Here, lying in a pool of blood, is the body of Catherine Chun. Her remains can be data mined, allowing Simon and the player to relive the exact moment the ARC team failed.
Are you suggesting we keep it down here? Doesn't that defeat the whole purpose? Eternity among the stars, remember?
The people inside the Ark won't know the difference. We can just keep it down here, and we don't have to risk the Ark being shot through 5,000 meters of broken barrel, and then push through another 100,000 meters of a dust-filled atmosphere.
Will the casing stand all that pressure?
Well, the odds aren't great.
Catherine, say something.
I don't care what you think. I'm launching it.
No need to be like that. Let's just hang on to it for a while and think about it. We can launch it later.
No, that wasn't the deal. We needed to save them. To launch it. Out there, it's hope. Down here, it's a fucking terrarium waiting to die with the rest of us.
Come on, Catherine. It's not asking much. Let's just think about it before we risk the only hope humanity has to survive this hell.
No, we launch it today. This is my project, my Ark.
It's bigger than that. Don't you get it? It's not for you to decide. We're talking about the fate of mankind.
Get away from the Ark. I'm taking it.
No, you're not.
I'm not gonna let you ruin this.
Stop it!
Guys, calm down.
Get away from me! No!
What the fuck did you do?
It was an accident.
Catherine, talk to me. Catherine.
It seems the team grew unsure of the Ark's likelihood for success. The barrel of the space gun was damaged, and the atmosphere was now a thick cloud of dust. All but Catherine considered this reason enough to postpone and reformulate the plan. She protested, argued, and when Catherine sought to forge onward in spite of their wishes, she was killed, hit in the head with a wrench. Who it was that did the deed isn't easy to determine. We'd have to go back to Tau to review the evidence. Luckily, we won't be going alone, because the ARC team also returned. According to Johann Ross's final journal entry, the ARC team returned from Phi on December 26. It's here he notes that they had scheduled a pickup for the climber the following day, and that he and Glasser planned on using it to reach Omicron. This is how Ross made it to the plateau. Of course, while he was making his doomed plans, the ARC team was making theirs as well. They chose to remain on site, hoping to figure out a way to proceed forward with the launch. Unfortunately for them, there was nothing else they could do. The launch was to be their only hope, and they did not follow through when they had the chance. One by one, they began to die. In one of the living quarters, we find a lone body with a blanket draped over it. Data mining it reveals it to be the remains of Ian Peterson from the ARC team.
Can't we do anything for him?
No, we're out of sedatives. If we had a gun, this would be the time to pull it out.
Did not expect it to end like this. Should have jumped the climber back to Omicron.
Without the Ark?
Forget about the Ark.
No, you don't get to say that. It's the only thing left of value, you know that.
Yeah.
Promise you won't leave it behind.
Well, I'll be dead one day. Then what?
We'll better keep it safe until then. Don't want the WoW to take it, swallow it whole.
I'm sorry, Catherine.
It's okay, Ian. Just let it out. Let it all out.
The man speaking during the memory is likely Jasper Hill. The woman is Sarah Lindwall, who we first heard of back at Site Theta. She laments on not taking the climber back to Omicron, indicating that some amount of time has passed since their return to Tau. She is resigned to abandoning the Ark, but Jasper protests, saying it is all that humanity has left. The memory ends with him apologizing to Catherine and easing Ian into death. In the opposite room, we find two bodies. One being a desiccated husk of a man coiled up in tubing and infused with metal parts. He's being kept alive on life support. Beside him is a photograph of a boy. The man wheezes out words, some truncated, some complete. He says, "My boy," a likely reference to the child in the picture. He also says Lyoshka, again likely the boy's. This would imply that the body is that of Nikolai Ivashkin, an ARC team member once upon a time ago, now doomed to spend the rest of his life in a waking nightmare. In the bed beside him, we find the man who killed Catherine. Judging by the timbre of his voice, the PDA on the shelf next to him, and the fact that we've already seen the bodies of both Ian Peterson and Nikolai Ivashkin, we can approximate that this is Jasper Hill. His body, like the others, can be data mined.
What the fuck did we do?
Hey, try not to think about it.
My whole life, I've been a good man. We messed up, Sarah.
There.
I should have launched. Taken the chance.
There's time. Ivashkin says we could try again, when things calm down.
You gotta do it, you know? You got to.
He is clutching a torn photo of Catherine, showing the extent of his grief, his guilt, even in death. Afterwards, all that remained of the ARC team was Sarah. She spent her time with what few TAL personnel left. We aren't given an official roster like in many of the other stations, but we do know that there was one survivor named Jin Yashida. It seemed he operated out of TAL's front section, as there are numerous access logs under his name found in a terminal there. If there were other survivors, such as Coetzee or Auclair, they didn't last long. On April 11, 2104, the WoW contaminated a power suit stored in TAL's power suit bay. The following day, Jin equipped that suit, sealing his fate. Whether it was he who managed to kill the remaining members of the staff is unknown. What is known is that Sarah, in an act of self-preservation, sealed herself away in the infirmary along with the ARC. Out of fear of the WoW's machines, she refused to open the door for anyone.
Go away, WoW. Not letting you or your stupid pets inside.
She even refused to talk to anyone.
Anyone there?
Not in the mood to talk to robots. No offense.
However, little did she know that her salvation and mankind's would be found in the efforts of one of the machines she sought to escape. About 1 month later, Simon Jarrett arrives in the Omega Sector. He traverses the torrential plain, following the blue lights, where he catches his first glimpse of the Leviathan. Much like the ARC team before him, Simon is attacked by the mutated fauna. After having his guidebot destroyed, he seeks refuge in a nearby cave, aglow with emergency flares and infested with sea spiders. He makes it through the dark claustrophobe and spots a light in the distance. Rushing towards it, the light reveals itself to be the lure of an anglerfish, mutated like the rest of the sea life. Disturbingly, the fish might have merged with a human at some point, since there is a human face clearly embedded into its side. Perhaps this was what Glasser was alluding to when he said that the anglerfish seemed to be hunting something not in this ecosystem. Either way, Simon manages to escape it. He gets access to Tao. Inside, Simon avoids the proxy that was formerly Jin Yashida and makes his way to the infirmary, where he meets the last living human on planet Earth.
You're different. Don't mind me.
Are you human?
Sarah Lindwall, payload technician at your service. A rare sight, am I right?
I'd say so. You're the first normal living human I've seen.
There's not many left down here. Most of them are up on the plateau.
You mean at Omicron?
Yeah.
There's no one alive at Omicron.
You've been there?
I've been all over. The power plant at Upsilon, the ruins of Lambda, the abandoned Delta, Theta.
You've been to Theta?
There's not a lot left of Pathos-II.
And I'm the only living person you've met? You mean I'm the last living human on the planet?
I'm sorry.
Who are you again?
Simon Jarrett.
Stationed out?
Nowhere. I used to work in a bookshop in Toronto. Long story.
Then what the hell are you doing here?
I'm trying to find the Ark.
Why would you? How do you know about that?
I've heard it's the last hope for mankind.
Damn right it is. Now what do you want with it?
Take it to the Gun at Phi. Launch it into space.
That was the plan, all right. I've been guarding it ever since we brought it back to Tau. Just couldn't bring myself to let go. To tell you the truth, I don't have the strength to argue. And I certainly don't have the time to wait for the next sentient thing shuffling through here. Go ahead. Take it.
Thank you. Can I get you anything? Do anything for you?
You could kill me.
Good one.
Being kept alive on life support and fed nutrition intravenously, Sarah wouldn't have even been a footnote in human history if all things proceeded as planned. Now, she's the enduring testament to our species, having survived the literal end of the world and against all odds, persevered in a realm of both monsters and machines. This world is no longer ours. Sarah is devastated to learn of the deaths of her co-workers, her friends, her species. While still in possession of the Ark, she's in no condition to defend it, let alone bring it to Phi. Tired and unwilling to go on, she agrees to let Simon have the Ark. She also wants to rest. Sarah begs Simon to kill her.
You serious about me killing you?
No, I'd love to hang around here until I dry up to the size of a raisin. Simon, this fucking sucks. I don't want to live like this.
Shouldn't we be doing something to keep you alive?
Why?
You're the last human. I just find it disrespectful to our entire history not to fight this. Sure, we have the Ark, but you're the real deal.
Thanks. That's probably the best compliment I've ever got. But the truth is that the Ark is all we have. We'll have to accept second best, you know.
None of this feels right.
Simon, I want to die.
Sarah.
Just think about it.
Though it has no bearing on the gameplay or narrative, this is one of the hardest choices you'll ever have to make in a video game. On one hand, you have the last vestige of a species, a living eulogy to culture, civilization, all wrapped up in the gaunt frame of a withering 29-year-old woman. As unlikely and as remote as it may be, there is a chance that someday a deus ex machina might appear to whisk her away from this underwater Bastille and return her to the surface. Perhaps it's not entirely uninhabitable. Perhaps there are even survivors. Perhaps. But that's likely a pipe dream. The alternative is dying a slow death and refusing to give up on a fight that was lost a long time ago. Humanity's days were numbered when the comet hit. They were numbered when Sarank convinced Volchek to put the WoW in control of Pathos-II. There is no fight left in this girl, in the same way there is no mankind left to fight for. If this is her chance, her only chance for agency, her opportunity to seize control of her fate, to stare into the abyss of extinction, of oblivion, and welcome it, then who are we to judge? Though this is a choice, I consider the mercy killing of Sarah to be canonical. As such, we'll pay our respects to the last human by granting her her final wish.
Would you stay with me, please? It won't be long now. Just please, just stay. What a crazy thing this was. Life. At least I won't have to turn 30. Hooray! Wish I could have died at home. friends. You ever been to Greenland? It's very beautiful. Well, at least when you get out of the city. Nanook is busy, and yes, there's like 12 million people trying to get around, but it's a great place. Or rather, it was a great place before the comet ended it all. You know what? I prefer it this way. I liked Pathos. Liked my colleagues. Anne, Nick, Jasper, even Catherine. People thought she was weird because she was quiet, but she was cool. Simon, you still there?
I'm here, Sarah.
Don't let him die, okay? Send them out there. To the stars.
With the Ark at last in his possession, Simon makes his way through the access tunnel, where he finds the path blocked by the same debris that killed Seal Kowalski. Ross appears to him then, and conspicuously creates an alternative route through the tunnel, leading Simon directly to Site Alpha. Inside, Ross explains everything.
Just tell me what you want.
I need you to stop the WoW.
What? How?
The enslaved protein sloshing around your suit is the noose from which the WoW will hang itself.
What are you talking about?
As soon as I came to in Omicron, I tried to tell them to make the toxin that would make the WoW wither, but they didn't understand. They put it inside my cabinet. It was so infuriating. They needed to take it to Alpha, the fountainhead of the misery we created. And then a girl. She figured it out. She was going to take care of it, but the WoW shrieked. They all died. You took the gel from the cabinet and made yourself into a venomous snake.
You're saying this toxin inside of me can kill the WoW altogether?
You are the snake, Simon. Now strike at the heart.
Ross reveals that after being revived at Omicron, he attempted to communicate with the staff to tell them to use the modified structure gel to kill the WoW. However, only one person understood him, Riley Herber, who tried to enact the destruction of the WoW herself. To prevent this, the WoW overloaded their black boxes, killing them. Knowing that Simon used the modified gel to repair the power suit, Ross then tried to convince him to destroy the WoW. Much like Sarah, you were provided a choice. You can opt to ignore Ross's pleas and spare the WoW, which will result with him becoming hostile.
You can't leave. We're not done. Please, Simon. Humanity will suffer for an eternity. If you don't finish this, I'll make you. Having your way.
Or you can choose to listen to Ross and contaminate the WoW with the modified structure gel, ostensibly killing it.
Please. I did what you wanted.
You did good, Simon. But you can't leave. The only way to make sure the WoW stays dead is to destroy the only one who's immune to the new pattern.
Regardless of your choice, Ross will attempt to kill Simon. Fortunately for Simon, the Leviathan appears and destroys Ross, providing Simon the opportunity to escape. The great beast gives chase, however, pursuing Simon as he sprints from cover to cover trying to reach Site Phi. He eventually makes it, entering the station, which is, curiously, in far better condition than any other site, especially considering its close proximity to Site Alpha. Catherine and Simon then restore power to Phi. After finding Catherine's body, he then loads the Ark into the space gun shell. Simon reaches the pilot seat used to operate the space gun, and together with Catherine, begins the launch sequence, which conspicuously is tied directly to the mind transfer sequence. When the countdown begins, Simon must sit and watch as both Catherine's mind and his own are transferred to the Ark. As the 20-second launch sequence ticks away, it becomes glaringly obvious that Simon's transfer won't finish in time, that is, until the last second, when the scan bar fills all the way to the top. The scan finished, the Ark launched. They succeeded, except...
Yeah, we made it!
I'm still here. I'm still here. Catherine? Catherine?
I'm here.
What the hell happened? What went wrong?
Nothing. They're out there, among the stars. We're here.
No. We were getting on the Ark. I saw it. It finished loading just before it launched.
Yeah, I saw.
Then why are we still here?
Simon, I can't keep telling you how it works. You won't listen. You know why we're here. You were copied onto the Ark. You just didn't carry over. You lost the coin toss. We both did. Just like Simon at Omicron, just like the man who died in Toronto 100 years ago.
No. This is bullshit. We came all this way. We launched the Ark.
I know it sucks, but our copies are up there. Catherine and Simon are both safe on the Ark. Be happy for them.
Are you crazy? We're gonna die down here with those fuckers living at large on a spaceship. They're not us. They're not us.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Simon. I'm proud of what we did. We made sure that something of the hundreds of thousands of years of human history survives, that something lives on.
No. Fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck you, Catherine. You lied. And I believed in you. I trusted you. You said we're getting on the fucking Ark.
We are on the Ark, you idiot. I didn't lie. I can't be responsible for your goddamn ignorance. You
Fuck! Catherine? Please don't leave me alone. Catherine? Catherine?
The epilogue shows us these last few moments from the perspective of Simon on the Ark. He now appears in his human form, surrounded by lush greenery, tinkling streams, and a sun so radiant it might as well be the face of God himself. Quite fitting, really. This is paradise. But it's also an illusion, a digital dream. The purpose of this video series was never for me to speculate on the philosophical nature of the narrative. I don't have the expertise nor the understanding to do that conversation any justice. But I will say, knowing what we know about the Ark, and about the dream states the WoW placed humanity in, one can't help but wonder if the two are really all that different. We don't have context for the WoW's dream state, that's true. For all we know, it might be quite pleasant. But we do have eyes, and we can see that most, if not all, within that state looked pained, ill, and sometimes not even human. But neither did Simon Jarrett. He was, as Catherine stated back at Lambda,
You're a walking, talking diving suit with some electronics slapped on for good measure.
And yet, he felt human. He literally thought he was human until the moment he was made to see otherwise. So ask yourself, how real can the world be to someone who is not aware they are living in a dream? I say quite real. But even if they are aware, does that make it any less real? I say no. If you think otherwise, I suggest you go talk to Simon Jarrett back on Earth. I bet he'd disagree with you wholeheartedly. On the beach, Simon finds a woman staring out at the skyline. Her back is to us, but we know who she is right away. Catherine. As the screen fades to black from the idyllic fantasy, we're reminded once again that this is not a happy ending. Not really. Yes, the Ark has been launched, and that's important, because it represents the hope of a species. But a hope is not a guarantee, and the home of that species is a blasted hearth. In the end, the ghost of humanity is just living on a hope, living on another dream. And all we can do is watch as the Ark drifts into the depths of space, having traded in one abyss for another.